So at the time of doing this, Pennsylvania has just flipped to Biden. He is slowly but surely edging more and more into the lead. And just as I had just checked this, Biden is behind in Georgia by about 400, 600 votes, I think it was, somewhere around there. So it's very likely that Georgia could have also have turned blue. And at this point, we hope, like I said, I'm doing this on Friday, but I hope that essentially that is it, that Biden is president-elect, and that essentially that is it, game over, and that the Republicans don't get up to any, well, legal shenaniganry. Already a few courts have denied doing recounts or the cases that have been brought against them. They've almost been instantly thrown out because the question is, what case? They haven't been able to show any evidence that there has been any foul play, which is what they'd have to do to be able to get a case going. But I also posted about this on the election night, that even if we do get rid of Trump, and it very much like, he has gone at this point, hopefully, fingers crossed, Trumpism isn't. What he has done to democracy in America and been influential around so many nationalist and populist movements around the world is going to be damaging, and it is going to be with us for some time to come. So this comes from The Guardian, and this is exactly what I am worried about. And as I said before, it's not the guy, it's Trump isn't the problem. Trump is but a start of something. The problem is going to be the guy who comes after Trump, because he could be far, far, far worse. So, like I say, this comes from The Guardian. So, regardless of the US presidential election outcome, Trumpism still lives on. When all the votes are counted, the presidential election may deliver defeat for Donald Trump, but it will not deliver a defeat for Trumpism. Democrats had hoped that 4 years of turmoil, attacks on the norms and institutions, and modernity, plus a pandemic that cost over 23,000 lives, would result in a quick, clean, and overwhelming repudiation of the 45th president. That would have been clarifying about the direction of the country, a warning to the Republican Party that it must take its 2013 autopsy report off the shelf and reinvent itself. But on another miserable night for pollsters, it did not turn out that way. Trump proved very resilient and increased his vote in Florida, Texas, and other states. He found even more white working class voters than last time and chipped away at Democrat supports among Latinos. His cult of personality campaign rallies were as enthusiastic and as rambunctious as ever. His victory in 2016, it turns out, was no fluke attributable to Vladimir Putin or James Comey. In 2020, his sexism, racism, and lie-telling have been legitimized and only emboldened. When some Americans protested, "This is not who we are," Trump voters replied, "This is exactly who we are, and we're not going anywhere." The so-called moral outrage around Trump's presidency did not produce any substantive shift in the Republican support, tweeted Eddie Gallagher, a professor at Princeton University and author of Democracy in Black. In fact, he explained, his base among white voters, Trump continues to flourish in intersections of greed, selfishness, and racism. Now, if Trump wins the election, Trumpism wins. But if Trump loses the election, Trumpism wins too. A sense of grievance over a narrow defeat, fueled by the president's bogus claims of fraudulent and amplified by conservative media, will thrive in a Democratic president, and the Make America Great Again movement, with its nostalgia for a country that never was built for opposition rather than incumbency. But there's more. Republicans appear to be on course to hold their Senate majority and may end up gaining seats in the House of Representatives. Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, and Lindsey Graham were rewarded, not punished, for normalizing Trump and enforcing his will. The message to other Republican aspirants is clear. This is Trump's party now. Furthermore, McConnell would prove an implacable foe for President Biden. The Majority Leader memorably declared that his top priority was to make sure Barack Obama was a one-term president. He failed in that, but proved a master of obstruction. Now he is likely to repeat that formula with the man who served as Obama's vice president for 8 years. It is precisely the opposite of what America needs right now. A White House, Senate, and House working together and thinking big, like Franklin Roosevelt, to tackle the pandemic, rebuild the economy, and reform healthcare. Instead, we'll expect to see more gridlock as a Democrat White House is parried at every turn by a Trump-fueled Republican Senate majority. It is frustration with that type of dysfunction that has fed the forces of Trumpism in the first place. The president continues to present himself as an outsider intent on shaking up the system and draining the swamp. Expect also a facade of attacks on Biden and scaremongering about what it would mean if he succeeds by running his mate Kamala Harris, a woman of color, that will fire up the base even more. There was a school of thought that a crushing defeat for the Republican Party, perhaps even in Texas, would be the best thing that could happen to it, the mother of all wake-up calls. But there is also another theory, that whatever the outcome, Trumpism was deep in the Republican Party's bones, and it would take 2 or even 3 elections to actually even purge it. Now, indeed, the party is clearly committed to this strain of raw populist nationalism, overthrowing the old consensus on trade, immigration, and other issues. Likely candidates for 2042 don't rule out Donald Trump Jr., or for that matter, Donald Trump himself, because Donald Trump could indeed run again in 2024. I don't think there's anything that could actually stop him from doing so. Like I say, and even Trump Jr. or an Eric Jr., an Eric Trump could indeed run and trying to, cement that Trump legacy. We are going to be seeing, Trumpism around for a long time. The problems in the American system are what helped to build Trump. Not only that, but in the Republican Party themselves, they are pretty much responsible for Trump. This has been the direction they've been heading for a while now. And again, that 2013 mortality report of when they lost back in 2012, which again they never adopted, actually set out that worrying thing. Maybe it is time some Republicans stood up and said, actually, no, this isn't what our party is about. But it's no doubt that they will be emboldened. We have seen absolutely no Republicans come out and, repudiate Trump for his comments on trying to essentially declare victory in the election without, the full count being done. No one came out and said anything from at least my knowledge, and at least at the time I'm doing this, no one has done yet. And I'll be very surprised if one does. And not only that, but it's very possible the reaction against them could not be a positive one, but a negative one. So, make no mistake, Trumpism is here for some time to come. And that is an unfortunate absolute fact. So, with that, thank you very much for watching. Please do hit that like and share button. Also, please, if you would like to support the channel another way, there are links down below to my Patreon page, as well as a one-off donation link. And thank you very much to the people that do support my channel in that way. And with that said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time.